Well, hello, lovely Year 6 designers. Here we are with our lovely, beautifully decorated piece of cloth. We've got our stenciling on, our stitching. I've added some beading. You might have done that. So we're all ready to actually turn this into a bag. And for that, we're going to need some pins, a pencil, a ruler, some nice embroidery threads, whatever colours you want, a needle. I've already got mine ready there with some thread. And we need 2 ribbons. You can choose, there's lots of different sorts of ribbons you can choose from, but they need to be the same size. So we're ready to begin. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to attach our handles. So we just roughly lay out where they're going to go, and you want to make sure it's not going to be twisted, so you want to make sure that goes on properly. And you get a pin and you poke it through the ribbon and through your cloth that you've decorated, and do it the same. Just check again you haven't twisted that ribbon up. You want it to be nice and smooth. There we go. Pinned on both ends of your handle, and we're ready to sew it on. Now I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do this. I've got a single piece of thread there with a knot on the end. You might want double, but I've gone for single. And we just start with a simple stitch. Okay, 1 stitch going across. Can we see that? And then we just put another stitch in, and we're going to just put 4 quite large stitches. It's as simple as that. Now, if this was a real bag rather than a prototype, you would be using a sewing machine to sew this on. You really wouldn't get it strong enough sewing it by hand. So this is just a prototype, so we're just going to put some stitches in. And I'm doing mine's 4 chunky stitches, so it's a bit decorative. I've matched up my colour with my bag. I've used that blue again that I've used before. You might want to change the colours. You might want it to be more colourful and take it into a different palette. That's fine. So then you tie off after you've done 3 or 4 stitches, and snip it off, and then you're ready to stitch on the other side. You notice there I took the pin out because we don't need that. And there's our 4 stitches. So I'll just show you, speed it up, me doing the other 4 as well to match. And then I'm going to show you a different way you could join your handle at the other end, and you can choose which one suits you better. So there you go, I pinned on my handle again. And this time what I'm doing is I'm making like a cross shape. So I've got my needle through my fabric, and now I'm going in a diagonal, poking it back through. Can you see that nice diagonal shape? And then I'm going to the other corner, bringing that through, and then I'm going to cross down, making sure, check that you've caught the ribbon and the piece of cloth, because that's the point of joining those together. So that one you just need 2 stitches for. So for some of you that find stitching a bit trickier, you might want to just have a go at that one, the cross. So you decide how you want to attach it. And I'll just do the other side, sped up for you. Same again, it's pinned on, do 2 stitches, take the pin out. There we go. So that's my handle attached, and we're ready to start thinking about actually turning it into a bag. Okay, you're going to decide which way you want to do your handles, and that's fine. But now I'll show you what we need to do next. So we're just going to put our bag together. We don't need to worry about a seam at the top. Again, if there wasn't a prototype, we'd put a seam at the top and make that neater. What we're all about now is just joining the edges together. So we turn it inside out and put the sides together. Can you see that? So my decoration's on the inside. I then get a ruler and a pencil, and I draw a straight line about 1 centimetre down from the top there on both sides. This is going to help us get a nice straight seam, okay? And I'm going to show you 2 ways to sew this, but what we're going to do either way is we're going to pin it first. Now I'm just doing it above the line, not on the line. The line is where we're going to put our stitches, but the pins are just going to keep it all together and all neat for us. So I've got 4 pins there, which is probably about right. You might want 5 or something like that, you decide. Again, I'm going to put my pins in, get those in the right place, and you can see that I'm not touching the line. The line's there for me to use in a moment. Okay, so I've got myself a nice long piece of thread. I've got it as double thread with a knot on the end to make it extra strong. You might want to use single, that's up to you. And we're just going to do a simple running stitch where we do a few stitches in and out and pull through. If you're not so confident, you might want to do one stitch at a time. I tend to do 3 like that, and we're just going to be running along that line. That line's helping us. We're just almost drawing with our thread over the line we drew earlier. That's it, and cast off with a knot on the end, nice and tight. So I'm going to show you the other side now. I'm getting my piece of thread ready. This time I'm doing something called backstitch. So that was called running stitch. This one's called backstitch, and this one's a little bit more advanced. So if you are already good at sewing, you might want to try this one. And in this one, we go in, then we go backwards on ourselves, go back in again, and then we come out in front, there we go, and then we go back. Instead of going forward, we go backwards. That's why it's called backstitch. I go back to fill in the gap, and then I go forward, taking my needle through, and then I go back again to fill in the gap. So backstitch, running stitch, followed by backstitch. Don't bother doing different ones on each side. You just choose one that you want to have a go at. If it all goes horribly wrong, well, you just snip it off and start again. Don't worry about it. This is all part of the learning process. So there we go. That's my 2 sides of my bag stitched together, cast off. So let's have a look at the difference there. We've got the running stitch on this side, and then you can see how the back stitch has a solid line. That's why it's stronger than the running stitch. But if all you can manage is running stitch, that's absolutely fine. Now the exciting bit, we're going to turn it in the right way. So we just turn it round and then poke our fingers into the corners. So we're making nice strong corners. And da-da, there is a finished bag. Our prototype is ready to show to the museum to see if they want it in the shop. There we go. Isn't that looking splendid? We've got stitching on there. We've got our beading if you wanted to have a go at that. Looking beautiful. There we go. Got a close-up of our decoration there with stitching, with fabric crayons, with the stenciling, with the stitching, looking very nice. I did some beading. You might have wanted to try that. That's up to you. But we'll all have a nice finished prototype. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Happy making, everybody.